Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. We're happy that you joined us today. I am so happy to bring to you today Christopher Knudsen. Did I say that right, Christopher?
Knudsen, yeah, close.
Okay. Who is a published author, university instructor, inventor, and renowned consultant. Christopher is here today to talk about his book, Trust Me, I'm a Consultant. I like that title, Chris.
Thank you. Ida, it's good to be with you. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yes, good to be with you as well. So, tell us the motivation for writing this book.
Yeah, that's a great question. In excuse me, in I've been in independent consulting or have owned marketing agencies for about 13 years. And when COVID hit in 2020 and we were all in lockdown, I decided at that point that I needed to sit down and really memorialize a lot of lessons and things that I'd learned about independent consulting into a book. And so I started writing the book during COVID. And there was a point where I wrote it, I got done with it, and then I put it away for about a year. It didn't feel like it was done. And I ended up rewriting about the last third of the book. And then that was earlier this year. And so then it just published here in October of 2023. But I got into independent consulting in 2010, and I just kind of jumped into it. I didn't really have a roadmap, and we write a lot of books on entrepreneurship and owning your own business, and those books are really geared towards people who are wanting to start a company with a product or software, something along those lines. They're going to hire employees, they're going to raise capital. But there's a lot of people who are working in business right now who don't want to own that type of a business. And what they're thinking about is, how do I take the skill set that I've already developed and just go work for myself, right? I don't want to go start some big company. I don't want to hire employees. I just want to go out and do basically independent consulting work. And so this book is written for those people who are like, yeah, I just want to not work in the grind anymore in the 9 to 5. And how do I take the skill set that I've developed over so many years and go and make more money and own more of my time? And so because I did not have that roadmap when I started myself, I wanted to write the roadmap for people who were really interested in doing that type of work. And that's what the book Trust Me, I'm a Consultant is really about.
Wow, that's amazing because there's quite a few consultants out there. And I'm sure, like yourself, they kind of just jumped into it. And I always say, learn by fire.
Yeah. There are, at the same time, I think consulting has a bad name because there's a lot of people who are in quote unquote consulting that um, aren't doing it right. They're not providing a lot of value to the people that they're consulting for. And so the book covers a lot of that too, how to really drive value as a consultant and be a value-driven consultant rather than someone who shows up, they don't know what they're doing and they end up getting fired because they're not doing consulting correctly. And there's kind of I think we have a problem with that in the world that we live in now, where a lot of people who have skill sets that could be really valuable to companies out there that are looking for those types of services they don't know how to deliver it, right? And so the book does talk quite a bit about how to appropriately deliver those services as well, so that you can continue to remain in the industry, right? If you will, and not give the industry a bad name, because there's plenty of consultants out there that I think I'm fighting this. Like when I get hired on a consulting basis, the hesitation to hire me will usually come from the fact that the people that I'm about to work with have had a bad experience with a consultant in the past, and they're hesitant to buy consulting services because of it. And that's really unfortunate, right? Because
Yes.
good consultants can offer a lot of value to the businesses that are out there that are really in need of those types of services.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's really, really important. So let's talk a little bit about some of the mistakes that
Mm-hmm.
you cover in the book that consultants make.
Yeah, I think that most consultants think that how good they are at their craft is really what qualifies them to be a consultant. But I talk about things in the book like I call them high EQ skills, right? So high emotional quotient type of skills that are really necessary in order to be a good consultant. So that would be things like and I'm going to say like it's the things that are the really simple things in terms of the way I think about them. It's the simple things that for some reason people find these things really hard to master. And so it's like attention to detail, having high integrity, being on time to meetings, having really good organizational skills, being really, really good at communication, whatever form that communication comes in, written, text, verbal, not being passive aggressive, being present mentally and physically. I mean, these are some of the skill sets that employees, frankly, there's a group of about, what I'll say is, I didn't invent this, but I talk about it in the book, which is the 20-80 rule. And 80% of employees have trouble with those types of high EQ skills that I just kind of named off there. And if you're part of the 20% of employees that don't have that problem with high EQ type of skills, that will translate really well over into the world of consulting. And so frequently consultants are not are losing their what I'll call their arrangements with their clients because they have low EQ skills, not because they have bad skill sets. And so that's the thing that people, I think, really, they either dismiss it or they don't think about the importance of those types of high EQ skills in the world of consulting.
Wow. And it's all basic stuff. But
it's common sense stuff, right? And this is why it's hard to, this is why it's difficult to process that this is a thing that a lot of people have struggled with in terms of, because it's like basic 101 things that you need to be successful in business. And it's stunning how many people actually have a problem like doing those types of things, right? So if you can set yourself apart by having really high EQ skills, then you're going to go really far in consulting. That's just kind of the bottom line.
Right. So if people want to get the book, how do they do so?
Well, the book's available on Amazon. It's available as an audiobook, which you can get on Amazon or Audible. I read the audiobook, so hopefully that comes out okay. I wrote the book as kind of a hybrid memoir, is what I would call it. I incorporate a lot of stories and a lot of learning, and there's stories that I wanted to either have be funny or kind of shocking, because I wanted the book not to read like what I'll call your traditional business type of a book, right? Traditional business books are frankly kind of boring. And I didn't want to write a boring business book. So, excuse me. So I wrote the book in such a way that it's entertaining and it's fast to read. The chapters are short because we have short attention spans, frankly. And so I'm hoping that the stories that I convey in the book along my journey in the world of independent consulting will resonate with people, and also teach important lessons about how to manage clients, manage yourself, and generally be successful in this type of profession.
Wow. So just give us one of the stories just a snippet of one of the stories you talk about in your book.
Sure. I'll give you I'm a marketing person, right? So I wrote the chapter headings to be almost like link bait, right, if you will, so that people go, I got to read that, right? Like some of the chapter headings are, how I got paid in a job interview, how to finance your startup with your disabled brother's social security number, the worst advice a venture capitalist ever gave a room full of women, how to lose your sister's millions of dollars on a podcasting startup, right? So one of them is how the devs are doing cocaine in the bathroom again, which is a story about this CEO I worked with who had a problem with his developers are all on cocaine. And, but there's a story that I talk about in here. Sorry, let me clear my throat. I'm going to mute for a second.
Oh, that's okay.
Apologize for that. I'm on the tail end of a cold right now. But one of the titles of one of the chapters is Navy SEALs Rules of Combat and a Board Coup d'etat, which is where I went into a board meeting where a CEO is being fired, and I applied these rules of combat to the CEO's situation and the CEO's firing and what happened with the company. And so that would be an example of the type of thing. I got paid in a job interview because I did consulting work for the company before they hired me. This was very early on in my career when I was dabbling in consulting work, and I did some consulting work for the company. I did it on a commission basis. And when I showed up for them to actually do an interview with me and wanted to hire me on and bring me on into a sales role, they were there waiting with a check in the job interview for the work that I had already done for them, right? Which is a great way to, it is a great way for you to get a job, right? So it's like, I already done the work for you. I've proven I can do this. Most people read that and say, how did you get paid in a job interview? They think they're totally flabbergasted by that. But it's really easy to get paid in a job interview. I early in my career would tell people, hey, just let me do some work for you before you hire me, and you can tell me if you like me or not, right? I'll make it really easy for you. I'll prove to you right now that I'm a valuable asset to you, which is exactly what I did. And again, when I walked into that situation where they wanted to put me through a formal interview process, they were waiting with a check to pay me for the work I'd already done for them, right? So it's a good lesson too for people who are younger in their career. It's like, sometimes we got to prove it, right? We have to prove that our value is going to be there. And that's a great way to do it. To walk in and tell a potential future employer, like, hey, just hire me on this type of a basis, commission, consulting level, or whatever. And I'm going to prove to you right now that I can make this happen for you, that I can do the job, and make it really easy for them to make the decision to hire you, right? Take away the risk. So the book incorporates a lot of that type of learning, a lot of that type of advice, a lot of those types of stories, but all the stories incorporate like they're there for a purpose, right? The purpose is for the reader to be able to learn and understand, like, oh, okay, this is something that happened in that situation that I should incorporate into my career, or as I'm going out into the world and becoming an independent consultant, it's something I should incorporate to that practice.
Yes, yes. And I like that. Try before you buy kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And we apply that to all kinds of other type of businesses, especially products. If it's a new product coming out, we let people sample it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why shouldn't employees be any different, right? When I hire people today, I hire them on a try and buy basis, right? They might still be an employee, but there's even some people I'll be like, hey, I'll pay you 1099. I'll pay you as an independent consultant for 3 months. I want you to prove to me that you can do this job, and then I'll bring you on as a W-2 employee. And I rarely have somebody ever say to me, no, I'm not interested in that type of an idea. In fact, if they are not interested in that type of an idea, a trial period, then that's kind of a red flag, right? So I think that's becoming more popular too with employers. There's just a trial period that you really need to go through to be able to prove your worth, and there's a couple of really good ways to do that.
Yes, and it's funny we talking about that because my background is IT, and a lot of times when I worked as a consultant with like consulting type companies, it was a try before you buy.
Yeah.
All of the jobs.
Especially in a career like information technology, right? You're really relying on that person to show up and know what they're doing in the technology, right? Yeah. And so people in a job interview can kind of say whatever they want. They can make things up. They can, whatever. But the proof is in the pudding. When you sit them down in front of a computer and you put them in front of, a system that you want them to manage in terms of information technology, you're going to know really quickly if they know what they're doing or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you give us one more snippet that people can expect to receive from your book?
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of information on how to make the transition smoothly, right? So I don't want you to do it the way that I did it, is kind of the learning, right? Where I just said, hey, I'm going to jump in with both feet here and I'm going to go figure this out. And if I can't figure it out in the course of 6 months, then I'm going to go back and get a real job again. And I don't really want you to do. I want you to go into it with a plan. And so where a lot of business books are like 30,000 foot views of a particular topic, I go really into detail on how to create a really potent strategy for you to be able to exit your job and enter into the world of consulting. Again, it's a very detailed roadmap that allows you to be able to do it so that you're removing a lot of the risk that comes with that type of a move in your career, right? I want you to do this low risk. I'm not a big risk taker. In fact, this is one of the big lies that people tell about entrepreneurship that don't understand it, is they think entrepreneurs are risk takers. Entrepreneurs are calculated risk takers.
Yes.
And I want you to calculate your risk in going into the world of independent consulting. So I create in the book a very detailed roadmap for people to be able to get there. And so that's really what I'm trying to get to, I want people to be successful in that job. I want them to be, I don't want them to go into it realize it wasn't for them, and then they're back into a bad employment situation in 3 or 6 months. I want to give you a really good detail of how to get into it, how to even test it to decide for yourself if it really is for you or not. And then, once you figured out that this is really going to work, how to really take it and run it and take off with it. And so that's the thing that I think is a really big differentiator in the book is I don't want to talk about 30,000 foot concepts, right? I want to get right down to brass tacks. I want to get right down to where the rubber meets the road. And let's talk about how to take your situation and make you successful in the world of independent consulting.
Yes. And like you were talking during the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were kind of forced into a consulting role, not really knowing what to do and how to do it. So this book, I mean, I'm sure they've had some knocks and probably 2 years later, still having some. So this book will definitely help those people who sort of was forced into the situation to really better their skill sets and doing.
Yeah. You're going to find, I think, we're in the middle of this right now, but companies are really interested in hiring contract workers. And contract work is essentially consulting work. And so if you have a good roadmap for how to do that really successfully, you can take on multiple clients and make more money than you're currently making as a W-2 employee right now. But you're right, because there's almost this thing where the market's going to be forcing a lot of people to this type of employment. And so you got to have a roadmap if it's what's going to happen to you. And that's what this book is a roadmap to help you be successful this way.
Wow. So again, how can people get the book?
Yeah, just go to Amazon and just type in "Trust Me, I'm a Consultant." And if you like audiobooks, you can get the audiobook there. Ebooks, the ebook as well, so you can get in all formats. And that's probably the best place to grab it is on Amazon. But absolutely go there. There's a website, sevenfigure.consulting, which is the other place where you can go to get information on me and then also on the book as well. But I'm pretty easy to find on the internet and LinkedIn and all those types of places, and enjoy it when people reach out to me for advice or they got insights from the book. So yeah, it's pretty easy to find me and the book.
That was my next question. Are you going to be doing trainings and things like that going forward?
I don't have a plan to do that right now, but I do like at the individual level. I don't have a plan to do that right now, but there may be something at a larger group level that I may do in the future, but it's kind of in the works right now.
Oh, okay. Wow, Chris, this is definitely amazing. I know your book is going to help so many people because every day somebody is saying, I want to be a consultant.
Yeah. And so here's the way to do it, right? If you're done talking about it and you're ready to go after it and you're like looking for a way to do it, book's for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate you and looking forward to more collaborations going forward.
Thank you. I'd appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's been great, and really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.